you got many claims to fame, Ronnie Blackmer, but one of them is you were the last winner of the last race at Rollerball. And just to go back, you're from Youngsville?
Yeah.
How does a guy from Youngsville hear about Rollerball Speedway?
Well, I had a man. I had Frank Roman.
Yeah.
He was racing, and I started going with his daughter when I was in high school. That's how it all started.
Right.
And Frank didn't help me much, but he knew everything.
Yep.
But that's how I got going.
Well, how did he know that you were a talent? Were you racing around the neighborhood, or you?
Well, we hunted deer every night.
Okay. Help me, Randy. What's the connection? Racing and hunting.
Game wardens.
I get it now. Yeah. But so Frank really was. I've heard the name quite a bit, and Frank really had quite a reputation.
Yeah, he didn't drive them Fords.
Right.
I started with a Chevy. That was my break.
Right. And Frank had, I'm trying to think, Hyle Russell and Eddie Kisco. Was that sort of the beginning of Frank, or was he before that as well?
Frank was before. He had Willie Wilson.
Okay.
In 55, 56, Frank had, well, Hyle begged him to run the car. And then when I started, we had 2, 4, and 6. We had 3 cars. But it was good then. We only had 14 cars total, late model.
Right.
So we had pretty good then.
Let's go back to Rollerball. You were there in 1960, again, as you had to close your eyes and take a lap around the Rollerball in 1960.
Well, I went out and I thought I was doing all right. And Frank said, "Why didn't you try it out?" I said, "I thought I did." So, I went back and I held it right down and ended up in the creek. Had to get towed out. Remember that, John?
So
that was the first week I went. I got a 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
And then I only ran there twice.
Okay.
Then Blinky gave me that there.
So yeah, so you literally won the last race in the history of Rollerball.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I got $14 in that trophy, and somebody kissed me. I remember that. I don't think it was Blinky. But I'll tell you what, that was
redhead. I ain't red.
That's right, it was. That was a big day. I thought, $14, you get paid for this? Man, I'm in this forever.
Now, was that your first win?
Yeah,
Your first win in a race?
Yeah.
So
the week before when you finished
I got a
was
third.
the first time you'd ever been in a car?
Yeah. But I had a Chevy. And it was light.
So Frank convinces you, or did you have to convince Frank that you were going to Rollerball to take a chance?
No, we built the car, or I built it,
Right.
in his garage,
Right.
all the year before in 59.
Okay.
I was almost scared to go racing. Then he started getting me, calling me chicken because I wouldn't go, and I said, okay, let's go. But it was easy after I got there.
So your first race ever is at Rollerball. The second race you win, and everybody now knows that you're the best racer there is in the area.
Oh,
They
yeah,
close
yeah.
the track.
Yeah.
We quit.
Is that the storyline?
I heard he was going to be there. I didn't even go.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. You ended. That's the end of the era. That's the story. Ronnie Blackmer closes Rollerball.
But I remember Whitehead and Stevens, they both wanted to drive the car, and I said no. Yeah.
So, any other memories that you can think of regarding Rollerball, knowing that you were just kind of there for a couple of times?
Well, Skip got hurt up there before I started.
Right.
I didn't even know Skip until that day.
Right.
And he went out that last day. I think he had Dick Holstrom's car or something, didn't he, John?
I don't remember.
It was red, white, and blue. And he broke an axle in the heat. So he fixed that, tore the rear end out in the semi, and he flips it right on the roof to change the rear end.
Okay.
And she went out in the feature and blew it up because all the oil ran out when it was upside down.
He told us as Greg asked him, "What's the dumbest thing you've ever seen at a racetrack?" And he says, "It was me."
Yeah.
He says, "I tipped the car over.
I couldn't believe it.
Work on the rear end."
I never knew him then. And I went to call him that week and I didn't know what his name was. Because everybody called him Skip. But that was funny, I laughed. And he still got a rear end, you know, Ford rear ends were kind of tough, put back together. He made a feature, but then didn't last.
What car did you and Frank have at Rollerball in 1960?
Well, that was a 53 Chevy with a 37 Chevy body on it.
You remember your number, Ron?
Yeah.
What was that?
4.
4.
Junior.
Yeah. Why the junior? Were you a junior?
Well, we had the big car too.
Right, right.
Next year.
Okay.
And same color. Looked like a junior.
Yep.
Ron, you and Frank were always noted for having the lightest cars
That's the secret.
around.
That's the
What
secret.
did you guys do to lighten your cars?
Well, my body, when I put on that 53 Chevy, I just stuck it on my head and walked it on there. I mean, it didn't weigh 100 pounds. The body. And Frank used to cut the whole dash out in 57 Chevys. I mean, the whole cowl. I mean, he was smart for weight.
And who was in his stable of drivers? I mean, again, I mentioned, remember Hyle Russell?
Eddie Kisco.
Eddie Kisco.
Paul Wilson was earlier.
Yeah.
And me, I guess.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about each of those. Paul Wilson was he from Jamestown?
Yeah.
That was number 28. Do I remember that correctly?
Willie, yeah.
Yeah. And Hyle Russell, where was he from?
Kane.
Okay.
He died of a brain aneurysm in the early, probably 64, 5.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kane, Pennsylvania is not next door to State Line. I mean, how did he drive?
Well, they had, racing really was in Kane before it was in State Line.
Oh, okay.
They had, what was down there, John? Highland? Highland.
Highland Raceway.
And then Bradford had a track, Rue. Never paid nothing, but the track was there. And there was another one down there somewhere. But there was tracks all over before State Line. State Line just gobbled them all up.
Right, right, right. And Eddie Kisco, where was he from?
Kane.
Kane, also?
They drove Hudson's for Bud Rose down there in
Okay.
Bradford, I think. Yeah, Bradford had a speedway. That was Rue.
Mm-hmm. Is he still alive? Eddie Kisco?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
Then you can, 1960 comes and goes. What's the next step in the biography of Ronnie Blackmer?
Well, I had built a 61 Chevy,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a current year car, I think. I don't know, man, that's hard to remember this stuff. Then we built 64 Chevelle. We won the points with that
And this, when you say win the points, that would have been State Line?
in Erie.
And here, yeah, the circuit.
Erie started in 61.
Okay. They were owned by the same people, correct?
Yeah.
So literally, just for the tape, Saturday, State Line would have been Saturday night, Erie would have been Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. Would most all the drivers go between both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, that first couple of years, we only had 14, 15 cars. They were begging. We had 3 of them.
Yeah. And this, in what division would this have been?
Late model.
Late models.
I remember Leonard, he'd get so mad we won first, second, third. He said, "You got all the money." He'd say, "Well, we're always here, you know."